Jeff, you've been here a long time, and I'm guessing you've got some great stories. Is there anything in particular that comes to mind for you that really talks about Ryan's culture?
I do. I've been blessed to be able to know Fran Ryan and Russ Ryan and, of course, Jim and Pat, and now the fourth generation of Ryans that are coming through the business. But one particular story sticks out for me, Erin, and it goes back to when I first moved to Cedar Rapids to open our first regional office away from Minneapolis. And I was new in the role, had been there a couple of years, and I got a call from Jim Ryan who said, "Hey, do you duck hunt?" And I said, "Well, really not. I haven't duck hunted much in my life, but I'll give it a shot." And he said, "Well, we'd like to invite you to our family camp. It's something that has been around since the 40s, and we'd love to invite you." And I was in Cedar Rapids at the time, and he said, "We'll send you a plane ticket to meet in Grand Rapids." And I said, "Sure, I'd love to do that." So time went by, and as the event got closer, I got a call from Jim who said, "If you can be at the Grand Rapids airport on Thursday, we've got a ticket for you, and my Uncle Fran will pick you up." And I had never met Fran. I had only seen his picture on the boardroom wall. And I said, "Jim, you don't have to have Fran pick me up. He's the chairman of the company, and I can rent a car and meet you." And he said, "No, you don't understand. There are no rental cars. This is far northern Minnesota, and you don't rent cars. And first of all, you'd never find the camp." So I said, "Okay." So I was very nervous. As fate would have it, the flight from Cedar Rapids to Minneapolis got canceled or delayed, and I missed my flight to Grand Rapids, and I was feverishly trying to call people to let them know I was going to be late, but it was before cell phones were very common, and everybody had already left the office at the time to go to the duck hunt. So I sweated through my shirt and got finally to Grand Rapids 4 hours late, and by now it was getting dark and the sun was starting to set. And I ran into the little kiosk in the Grand Rapids airport, which is pretty small, and said, "Look, I need a car or a hotel or something. I'm 4 hours late. There was a gentleman that was supposed to pick me up at 2 o'clock today." And she said, "Well, is it an older gentleman?" And I said, "Yes, you probably saw him." And she said, "He's been sitting out in his car for 4 hours. And I said, "Oh my gosh." So now I was petrified that the chairman of the company had been sitting here for 4 hours waiting for me, and I was beside myself. So I grabbed my stuff and I ran out, and here was Fran Ryan sitting on the hood of his 1974 Ford Esquire wood grain station wagon with a little cooler. And I said, "Fran, I'm sorry. The plane was delayed and I missed the flight." And he said, "Jeff, sit down. The sunset's coming. We're going to enjoy a old style together." And by the second beer, I had calmed down a little bit. And he said, "There aren't that many great sunsets, and you and I are going to sit on the hood of this car until we're relaxed, and then we're going to go into camp, and they won't start dinner without us." And I never forgot how quickly he calmed me down and how gracious he was after waiting 4 hours for somebody he didn't even know that worked for the company. And after that, every Christmas party, every gathering we had, Fran would ask, "How are Mary and the girls? How are you doing?" He was all about the people, and I think that ever since that time, I have always felt that Fran epitomized Ryan culture. He saw you first as a person and second as an employee. And that's the way I've tried to live my life at Ryan, and so many other people have used that example.
Thank you for sharing that, Jeff. I have heard that story a number of times now, and I have to tell you, every time I see a beautiful sunset, I think of that story, and I also realize how important it is to take the time to really appreciate that. So thank you very much, Jeff, for sharing that.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's one of my favorite stories.